Hello, let's discuss today the ultrasound transducers. Okay, so this is the second lecture in the series of ultrasound. Uh, so the basic ultrasound transducer, or in most cases in medical ultrasound, we depend on piezoelectricity for generating ultrasound. So most of the ultrasound transducers are basically piezoelectric crystals. In medical device course, we have already discussed piezoelectricity in quite some detail. So piezoelectric effect was first described by Pierre and Jacques Curie in 1880. Uh, in essence, what piezoelectric effect is that there are certain materials that have the property that any application of an electric field across the materials will cause a change in the material's physical dimensions. And reverse is also true. Like if you change the material's physical dimensions, it generates a charge across the material. So uh, these materials are both naturally occurring and artificially grown crystals, such as quartz, tourmaline, lithium sulfate, and lead niobate. These exhibit piezoelectric properties. Uh, Recently, ceramics have replaced natural piezoelectric crystals, and barium titanate, lead zirconate, titanate are the most commonly used materials for making piezoelectric crystals for medical applications of ultrasound. Okay, so there are basically two types of transducers that are used in medical applications. One is um, so we have one is a single transducer, single crystal transducer. It is used in pulse echo diagnostics. Like when you see transducers of this type, sorry, when you see transducers of this type, they basically have many of these single element transducers within them. Okay, so this is the transducer which many times you see in hospitals. In the ultrasound machine, you have these kind of transducers, right? Something of this, but in these there are multiple single element transducers, and these single element transducers have the basic structure like this. So this is a typical pulse echo transducer, and these are the most frequently used type. And then the other type is the Doppler crystal transducer, which are used for Doppler investigations. We'll come to Doppler theory and the way Doppler works in ultrasound later, but let's understand. So I hope that all of you are have some idea of um, what Doppler signal is all about. Okay, like if there is a frequency shift if a thing is moving towards the sound source or away from the sound source. So that's what Doppler is about. We'll discuss a little bit more detail about Doppler later. Um, so let's discuss this pulse echo transducer first. The pulse echo, a typical pulse echo transducer, which is shown here. So let me go full screen of this if I can. So this is a typical pulse echo transducer. So the cross section of a typical pulse echo transducer is shown here in this diagram. The piezoelectric element usually has electrodes on the front and back surfaces. Okay, so we have a coaxial cable here. We have a coaxial cable here. Then there are electrodes, two wires which are coming here, one connecting to the back surface of this transducer and one connecting to the front surface of this transducer. So here is this is the transducer basically, and there is a front surface, there is a connection, and on the back surface also there is a connection. Um, then the front surface of the transducer is covered with a plastic facing that serves several purposes. Okay, so there is a plastic facing here. on the front surface of the transducer. So this is the transducer here, the white one, and then there is a plastic face in front. This plastic face serves several purposes. The facing not only protects the crystal, but also acts as electrical insulation between the transducer and the patient. So the patient is here somewhere. Okay, so this acts as the electrical insulation between the transducer, because on the face of the transducer also there is a connection of electrical connection. So this insulates the patient from the transducer's electrical connections. In addition, the front face material can be used to match the mechanical properties um, of the piezoelectric element to the mechanical properties of the human body. Okay, so we have already a little bit discussed in the last lecture about acoustic impedance, and there is something called as acoustic impedance matching. And so if you have two materials, suppose this is the transducer, and this is the body, this side is the body. You want maximum sound pressure which is generated by this transducer to pass into the body, okay, without get with minimal reflection from the surface. For that we need the impedance of this zt matched or equal to the z body, but this is typically not possible. So what we do is, this plastic face, if we can make this size, the length of this, the thickness of this element equal to lambda by 4. Lambda is the if lambda is the wavelength of the vibration, lambda is the wavelength of the ultrasound which is generated by this transducer. So every transducer has a center frequency, that is the frequency at which the transducer has maximum transfer of electrical to mechanical energy. So that is the characteristic frequency of the transducer, and for that characteristic frequency we will have definitely a lambda which is equal to v by f, velocity of sound by frequency of the transducer, characteristic frequency of the transducer. So for that lambda you find out what is lambda by 4, and this plastic thickness, if it is made as lambda by 4, and if the impedance of body is zb and impedance of transducer is zt, then you can there is a formula through which you can get maximum transmission into the body, and that is that the this thickness which you will be producing here, which is the plastic thickness, its thickness is lambda by 4. uh, Sorry, it's continuously going. Its thickness is uh, so suppose this is your transducer, this is your body, this is the thickness of this plastic. Okay, so this is the this is the plastic face. Okay, so this, the thickness should be lambda by 4, and if this impedance is z transducer, and if this thickness is, this is z body, the impedance of this should be made as a geometric mean of z transducer and z body, which is square root of z transducer z body. Okay, if you do this, then what will happen is all the energy which is generated by this transducer will be transmitted to the body. We'll see a detailed theory of this later if possible, but this is the basic idea of impedance matching with respect to body. Okay, so this plastic face, in addition to giving us electrical insulation between the transducer and the body, also ensures that maximum amount of sound pressure is transmitted into the body. Okay, by making this arrangement where the plastic face thickness is lambda by 4 and the plastic face impedance is z square root of transducer impedance and the body impedance. Okay, multiplication of that is a geometric mean of transducer impedance and the body impedance. um, then let me come to the, then comes the backing material. Okay, And again, another thing is this plastic, when it is connected to the transducer face here, okay, this we should ensure that there is no air gap here. Okay, if there is any air left in this gap, it might cause reduction of energy transmission from the transducer to the ball. So the purpose, then we come to the backing material. The backing material is this one. Okay, uh, the backing material, here it is shown. Okay, the backing material. The purpose of the backing material is to act as a mechanical damping, okay, thereby adding the production of short pulses necessary for diagnostic pulse echo applications. Okay. The damping material, what happens is, if you have a signal which is generated out of this transducer actually vibrates on both sides. Okay, so if this is your transducer, this transducer is vibrating on both sides. Okay, so energy is getting transmitted to this side, but energy is also going back. So if there is no damping on the back side, it might hit the back wall and then start radiating again with a phase difference. Okay, so do you understand? So if there is a sound wave here, and if the sound another wave, out of phase from the front side, goes towards the back and hits the wall and comes back and embeds on this, it will cause a loss of energy, and it will also cause signal distortion. So the damping material, uh, the aim of the damping material is to absorb all this energy which is going backwards. Okay, so that this energy doesn't come back and join the outgoing wave. So the damping material has to be chosen to have the same characteristics impedance as that of the transducer, so as to absorb as much energy as possible, and as possible, that is entering it. Okay, as much energy as possible. Okay, so this damping material's characteristic impedance Z should be as close to the characteristic impedance of the transducer itself. Okay, ZT, so that all the energy which is radiated backwards should be absorbed, should be moved into this into the backing material and absorbed there. um, so energy entering the transducer that is not absorbed is reflected back, that I have already discussed, that it will be reflected back if this energy which is going back side, due to vibration of the transducer, there is energy which is going towards the front, and there is energy which is going towards the back. If it is not absorbed here, then this energy will come forward and will be transmitted towards the patient. These reflections limit the ultimate sensitivity to the transducer, so that's why we want a backing material. So typical backing materials are made up of combinations of tungsten and rubber powder in an epoxy resin. The backing material greatly reduces the overall, but one thing is, the backing material, because it absorbs a lot of energy, it reduces the overall efficiency of the transducer, and thus, for continuous wave application, so if you are doing a pulse echo transduction, okay, pulse echo mode, there are different modes of transducer. Let me go back and show you. This is a continuous mode, ultrasound, where you are sending signals continuous sine wave as output from a transducer. But most applications use this kind of transduction, where you have the ultrasound transducer and you fire it only intermittently. So one firing, then after a few milliseconds, the second firing, after a few milliseconds, the third firing. Okay, so that's how this works. So if if ideally you want this to be as sharp as possible, but if there is, if there is a reflection from the back side, what will happen is, you may fire from the front side. If you may fire something from the front side, but because this also fires to the back, it will come back and will augment the signal, and the signal initially was like this, the augmented signal will come afterwards and will join this. So the signal will not be sharp enough, will not be sharp, it will become wider if your backing material is not good. But If you are, but if you put a backing material which will absorb the backward going wave, that also means that you are losing sound pressure on the backside. If your application is not that of a pulse echo mode, but that of a continuous mode, you can even get rid of the backing material, because there the combination of a backward going wave and then coming forward from the backing from the crystal itself and joining does not change the structure of the waveform by much, because it is just a sinusoid added with another sinusoid with just a phase shift. Okay, so the backing material greatly reduces the overall efficiency of transducer, and thus for continuous wave application, it is usual to minimize or eliminate it entirely. In addition, in the case of transducers designed for therapy, okay, because ultrasound can also be used as therapy transducers, where you can create heat for ablation and all. So the heat loss in any backing material becomes a significant design factor in such kind of therapy transducers. So piezoelectric element is the piezoelectric element is so that's what in therapy transducer you have to think about the backing material if you are designing a therapy transducer, because you will be losing energy there. But then you might require a short burst, and for creating sharp short bursts of ultrasound, you need a backing material. So there is a trade-off there. The piezoelectric another factor here is the casing. Okay, so you have the so you have in the casing you have acoustic insulator. So this is a so the piezoelectric transducer is cased in acoustic insulating material. The acoustic insulator causes the sound incident on it to be absorbed, and thus energy is not transmitted to the case. So you have the case here. This case is typically made up of metal, because it is a low loss material. Okay, so uh, cases cases are typically made up of metal, but they will vibrate when pulse is applied. So that's why we apply a that's why we apply acoustic insulator around it. Okay, so a lightly damped vibration of the case will widen the effective length of the pulse, that reduces. Okay, so as I told, if there is a vibration even from the case, okay, even from the case, if there is a vibration even from this case, what will happen is that can also come and augment the signal, and that will widen the pulse. So the pulse which you initially thought will be like this might become something like this because of addition of reflections from the casing. So that's why there is a requirement of a insulator around the case. Okay, so um, in addition, the insulation prevents transmission of ultrasound to operator, okay, through the case. So if there is operator who is handling the ultrasound transducer, and if he is handling a therapy transducer, which is actually producing a lot of sound energy, ultrasound energy, so we want to protect the we want to protect the operator. So that's why we want to absorb a lot of energy. So the casing, acoustic insulator on the casing makes sense, a lot of more sense in therapy transducers. So then transducers used in Doppler application. This is a transducer used in a Doppler application. So transducers used in Doppler applications are of a different design. So most commercial Doppler systems, okay, operate in a continuous wave mode. Okay, so you send, so it has two different transducers in two halves. Okay, so this is one half and this is the second half. Okay, so this one radiates a signal, then it hits a target. The target might be moving forward or backward, and that causes a frequency shift, and this signal is received on the other transducer. So this is continuous wave. So in in the Doppler application, we can have pulse Doppler, Also, we can have continuous Doppler. So this is a case of a continuous Doppler where you are giving a continuous sinusoid. So a typical Doppler transducer is made up of two piezoelectric elements, usually half circles, separated by acoustic insulation. So there is an acoustic insulation here. So this is acoustic insulation. So that is an acoustic insulator between two transducers, which are made up of half circles, half circle type transducers. So one element acts as a transducer and another as a receiver. The use of two transducers allows the characteristics of each to be chosen to suit the appropriate function as either a generator or a detector. Because most Doppler applications use continuous wave ultrasound, damping is not a very important factor, but there can be backing material if required. But damping is not a very important factor in Doppler applications. The ultrasonic array, as I have told, the ultrasonic array is simply a combination of transducers, usually of pulse echo type, separated by acoustic insulators. So there are acoustic insulator separation between the individual transducers on an array. So there are acoustic separations, acoustic insulator separations between. So typical transducer array can be of 128 elements, typical linear transducer array, which you find on in hospitals, can have 128 elements separated by these acoustic insulators. So this is all about ultrasound transducers, and these are two typical ultrasound transducers which are shown here. Um, single element ultrasound transducer, although these are too big in these are not typically used in medical applications. In medical applications, we have very small transducers embedded on a handle probe like this. But these can be used in a lot of research applications, depending on what kind of. So one of the research work which I was doing on ArtSense used the single element ultrasound transducer of this cylinder type, which are shown here. Then comes, we'll discuss after this about ultrasonic beams and their beam profiles, maybe in the next lecture. So, but these are something which I want to a little bit discuss is the hydrophones. So these are used to capture to record ultrasound energy. Okay, so these are called as hydrophones. So this is one of the so these can be used to, for example, if you have a transducer somewhere sitting, you have a transducer sitting here, and it is radiating some ultrasound power. So you can take a hydrophone and move it around a different location, front, back, okay, and top, bottom, and then can plot the energy at this tip, which is felt at this tip. So these hydrophones can be put in water. There is one example here which is shown from my earlier research. So you can see this one here is actually the ultrasound transducer of 128 elements which is placed there, and this one is the hydrophone. Okay, so this chamber here has water, okay, and this chamber doesn't have water, just there for holding the hydrophone. So, and then this wire from the hydrophone is coming out and it is going to the oscilloscope, and on the oscilloscope, whenever this ultrasound transducer fires, I can see a signal on the oscilloscope. Okay, so this is how the hydrophones can be used. So this is called as the lipstick hydrophone. We have one of these hydrophones in our lab, and this one is called as a needle hydrophone. This one is called a needle hydrophone. We have this in our lab. So right now institute is closed, but if institute opens up after some time, those who are interested, they can come and take a look at it. And yeah, so this is all for now. After this, we'll go into the beam profiles and some of the beam calculations related to ultrasound in the next lecture. Thank you for now.